Okay, so we're going to start off by looking at the Chelsea team. In goal was Kepa. In defence, right back they had Azpilicueta, centre backs Rudiger and Luis, and the left back was Alonso. In midfield, they had Kante, Jorginho and Kovacic, and up front on the right they had Pedro, Hazard and Willian. Arsenal, in goal they had Lino. In the back four was left back Kolasinac, Konchesky, Socrates and Bellerin. In midfield they played a diamond. At the bottom of the diamond was Xhaka, on the left was Guendouzi, on the right was Torreira, and in the middle was Ramsey, and up front they had Aubameyang and Lacazette. And this is the way that they lined up against Chelsea. Mainly to start with in the first half, where they were pressing really high. They played with Ramsey covering Jorginho, Guendouzi staying with Kante, and Torreira covering Kovacic. Xhaka would try and cover passes in towards Hazard, and their two centre-backs made sure that they had a 3 against Hazard. Well, at least they were going to try not to let him get into the game. For me, one of the keys of the game was just the fact that Arsenal was so much more aggressive in everything they were doing, preventing players from playing, making fouls if they have to, not letting Chelsea be comfortable on the ball, and in general just being an absolute pain or thorn in the side of Chelsea. I think overall Sarri got it right, that Arsenal did come out fighting for it a lot more and that their mentality was more of a winning mentality than Chelsea's. However, Chelsea did have good opportunities to win the game early on, and we're going to take a look at some of those examples. Okay, so from the goal kicks, Chelsea had here Rudiger, Luis, Jorginho, then the left back and the right back. Basically they were positioned in this system more or less, as we're seeing here. Arsenal used Ramsey to prevent Jorginho from playing out. Lacazette positioned himself in between these three players here. Aubameyang positioned himself in between the left back and Rudiger, a little bit more closer to Rudiger, and the other two Arsenal midfielders picked up the other two Chelsea midfielders. By using Lacazette to press here, he's taking up 3 players, which means that poor old Hazard over here is left with a 3 against 1 because everyone else is paired up and these two strikers are picking up 2 or 3 players each. In the example that we see, Kepa plays the ball into Azpilicueta, and it's this moment here that the Arsenal player comes across to press. The same happens on the opposite side when the ball is passed into Alonso, that Torreira leaves his man and comes into press. Okay, so that is how Arsenal prevented Chelsea from playing out from their goal kicks. It was an effective method, and in general the Arsenal pressing was fantastic on the day. Okay, so we're going to start not from the beginning of the match, but from the different ways that they were playing. So for starters, I'm going to look at the Arsenal defence and the way that they pressed Chelsea. So starting with a goal kick, Chelsea in their usual system there with the two centre-backs either side of the penalty area, Jorginho dropping in, and the full-backs, which we can just about see just inside your picture. And that's 6 Chelsea players when you include the goalkeeper, and they're being tied up by 3 Arsenal players. And Torreira, which you can see at the bottom of the screen, of course. So here we can see that Lacazette is responsible for pressing 3 players, and up at the top of your screen as well, Aubameyang is responsible for the same amount of players. And Ramsey, of course, as I mentioned earlier, is going to be trying to prevent Jorginho from playing out. Jorginho is the player who normally receives the ball the most for Chelsea, tries to dictate the game, so that's why Ramsey played in that role to prevent him from playing. If he dropped deep, he would go with him. If he moved further upfield, then he'd go with him. Okay, in this example, from the goal kick, Rudiger drops as if he's going to receive the ball on the touchline. They've done this before. They did it against Liverpool earlier on in the season. And as a result, Aubameyang has already started his press. He's moving in towards Rudiger. And Kepa is just going to play a little ball, not into his feet, but over the top of Aubameyang. Also, let's take this moment to point out the movement of Kante. It's brilliant movement and a good way to try and beat the press. The ball doesn't come into him though, it goes over Aubameyang, like I said. Okay, so now that the ball has arrived at Azpilicueta, Kante has continued that run into that area. He's going to follow it forward. Aspilicueta is just going to make an orientated control and pass the ball into him. So Kante is going to continue that run. He's going to receive that ball there. Okay, at the moment he's received the ball here, there's 3 Chelsea players who are there in support, and the back 4 from Arsenal is really high. Xhaka, who, like I said before, was responsible for preventing Kante from playing out, moves in to pressure him, and he doesn't let him get past him. He makes a foul, and therefore Arsenal can regroup, because he knows that that back 4 is really high, and if he gets past him, then, as we've seen plenty of times this season, Arsenal, when they're playing with a high defence, they're at risk. Okay, so here you can see that Xhaka has just grabbed Kante, making a tactical foul in the opposition half. For me it should be a yellow card, but he didn't get anything. So a good tactical foul there from Arsenal, and it was definitely a clear tactic. Be aggressive high up the pitch, make fouls high up the pitch, don't let Chelsea get comfortable. Okay, so during the game, in open play, the press was very, very similar. Here Rudiger's going to make a back pass into Luis, but the pass is a little bit off, so it just goes behind him, and we'll pick the ball and we'll start talking about the press once he's received it. Okay, so at this point here, Luis is now about to make a pass into the fullback, and we can see that Lacazette, Torreira and when he's going to make that pass, Torreira now shifts across to jump out onto Alonso. Exactly the same as the goal kick. Lacazette is moving in with Luis, again just like the goal kick, and exactly the same, Ramsey now is going to pick up Jorginho in the middle. When Alonso receives this ball, check out the positioning of the other players. Alonso, he can't really pass that ball back into Luis because Lacazette's really close to him, and he can't pass the ball back into Kepa again because Lacazette is now taking up 2 players, 2 passing angles. Those 2 passing angles, although they're a bit dodgy. Passing the ball there into Jorginho could be intercepted by Ramsey, and he could be through on goal. Again, if he makes the ball back all the way into Rudiger, it could be intercepted either by Ramsey or Aubameyang. And all this happening whilst Torreira is closing him down at pace. So he decides to play the ball inside into Jorginho and make a little 1-2 and move around. However, there's 3 Arsenal players around him. This is a dangerous manoeuvre, and Chelsea fell into this trap quite a few times. Because once that 1-2 was made, there's 3 Arsenal players around the ball, and they won the ball back. This is another example of an early press from Arsenal. Here the ball's going to be passed back into Luis, and Aubameyang is going to press him. Here we can see the press from Aubameyang, and for once Jorginho is going to receive the ball completely unmarked. Ramsey isn't anywhere near him. Lacazette is going to try and tackle him. It didn't happen very often in the game, but here Jorginho receives the ball completely free. Ramsey's really far away from him, can't get to him. Lacazette is going to move in. Here we can see Lacazette's moved in, can't quite tackle him. Now Ramsey moves in and he also can't stop him either. And this is where Chelsea were able to make some nice one-touch passing to play in between the Arsenal players. And at this point when Hazard receives the ball, he moves a little bit further back and then he plays a ball down into the channel. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight the back 4. Here we can see that Socrates has jumped out, I would normally be a little bit concerned when my defence jumps out. However, look at the positioning of the Chelsea players. Willian's inside, Pedro is inside. Okay, the fullbacks are starting to move up, but there's no target man, there's no Giroud, and I think that Arsenal will be quite happy that Giroud didn't play, because if there's one player that you don't want to play, it's your ex-teammate, and it's your ex-teammate who's got something to prove. So I think for me, Sarri should have started with Giroud in this game. Giroud would have been really up for this and really physical and really added some bite into the match and given some aggression to Chelsea in their forward play. However, as there's no one there, it was a little bit easier for Arsenal on the day. I'd also like to highlight these two players here. Bellerin, just for his pace, really added a lot more to Arsenal's defensive game. And Koscielny, well, he's so much cooler and calmer than the other defenders, and his positioning was second to none. As we're going to see in this play, when the ball gets crossed in, his positioning is perfect. Okay, so when this ball comes here to Alonso, well, he has different options. He's got a player moving in towards the back post, which is Pedro, and he also has Hazard and Willian. Willian's trying to break, looking for a pass in behind the defence. Hazard's looking to try and receive the ball in between lines. But again, there's no one at the back post. If Giroud was on the pitch, I'm sure the Arsenal defenders would be a hell of a lot more worried, thinking that this ball's going to come in near Giroud. And this is where I point out that Koscielny, his positioning is perfect. Even if Giroud was on the pitch, when this ball comes in, he'd probably still stop it. Okay, so look at the positioning there. He's heading the ball out, and there's no Arsenal player in that attacking that penalty spot area. Too easy for Arsenal, and for me, they really lacked Giroud during the game. During the game, especially when playing out from the back, Chelsea's Jorginho was being man-marked by Ramsey. Here, when the ball comes near him, Ramsey moves closer to him and sticks with him throughout the whole of the play. Here, Luis is thinking about passing it to him. When the ball comes into him, Ramsey jumps onto him to press him. Jorginho gives the ball into Rudiger and now starts to move away. Ramsey holds his ground as soon as Jorginho stops. As Jorginho moves across the pitch, Ramsey goes in front of him to prevent the ball coming into his feet. And again, when the ball gets passed back to Rudiger and switched across the other side, he goes with him again, preventing him from receiving the ball from the goalkeeper and forcing the ball onto the opposite side with Alonso. Again, he's now positioned in front of Jorginho so that the ball can't be passed back into him, therefore blocking off passing angles and preventing him from getting into the game. This clip, I'm just using it to highlight Bellerin's importance. Here I highlight him. Willian's going to make a breakthrough at pace, and when he does, Bellerin stays with him. All the way down the line he stays with him and then makes the tackle. This is why Bellerin is so important to Arsenal. His pace on the wing helps to cut out fast wingers, and with the injury which he's just sustained, I think that's going to be a big loss between now and the end of the season for Arsenal. It's when Arsenal weren't defending by pressing and they were moving out from the fence. Often, as is the case with Chelsea are looking for the space behind. Here I highlight Luis. He's really good at picking out passes in behind the defence which is moving out. Look at the space he's got on the ball. When someone's got this much space on the ball, you can't continue to move out because they can play a ball over the top. When someone's got hold of the possession, able to control it and look up, you need to hold your ground and pick up a man. Here I've highlighted Pedro, who's going to look for that movement there in behind the Arsenal defence. Okay, so at this moment here, Luis is about to make the pass over the top, and look at the Arsenal defence, it's not in line. It's a problem they've had for the majority of the season, although in this game it was better. It's still a little bit of a problem, and the left back here has just played him onside. He's going to make that chip pass over the top. With this opportunity here, it was a clear opportunity on goal. Pedro will be disappointed that he didn't equalise. Arsenal are obviously thankful, but it was a really great opportunity for Chelsea to score. Here once again, another opportunity for Chelsea to play that ball over. Again, Luis got plenty of time on the ball, no one's near him. They give him too much time to pick his head up and play a pass over the top. Okay, so by the time he's ready to make that pass, check out the body position of the defender. You should be able to know now that this ball's coming over into this position here. So he's got to be side on, profile, so that you can see not only his man, but the other man near the wing. Now by the time he's controlled it, he's too far back, and Chelsea are able to play a ball across the box. Okay, so he's just making that pass across the box. It's good defending. Arsenal have got 5 players in the box. They're covering all the passing angles, so defensively, good defending in the area, and Chelsea probably should have done better, to be honest. Another example of defending the area. Here Alonso is going to put a cross in, and it's going to follow that trajectory. There's 4 Chelsea players moving into the area, but there's also 5 defenders. There's also 5 defenders defending in the area, and 1 player coming out to try and block the cross. Importantly for me, and I pointed out this problem for Manchester United, they don't defend the edge of the box. Here, Arsenal have got 2 players moving in towards the edge of the box, so if the ball bounces in and around the edge, they're able to clear the ball. Good defending from Arsenal, and it's quite clear that Unai Emery has been working on their defensive capabilities. Here again, this really impressed me from Arsenal. Every single Arsenal player is back defending in the 54th minute. Look at how compact they are. It's impossible for Chelsea to play through there, so they have to try and play out wide. Here the ball's going to come into Pedro, and when the ball does come into Pedro, he's going to look to play that ball in there. And look at Guendouzi. He's pointing to the left back to go with Azpilicueta while he picks up Pedro. Okay, so by the time that cross comes in, look how many Arsenal players are in the box compared to Chelsea players. Only 2 players inside the box and 1 player on the edge, compared to 6 Arsenal players and 1 blocking the cross. And also Aubameyang defending on the edge of the box. Good defending from Arsenal again, and I think this probably highlights the need for Chelsea to be playing with a target man up front to get into the box. More good defending on the edge of the box. Again, we can see plenty of Arsenal players back, but look at the amount of Chelsea players. No one in the penalty area, 3 players on the edge of the box, and where would Giroud be? Around about there. For me, this is a problem for Chelsea throughout the whole game. I would have played him from the start. You've got to play your players who have played for the opposition's team before. They've got that little bit of extra bite, a little bit more extra reason to win the game, and I felt like it's what Chelsea lacked. I'm not going to talk too much about Chelsea's pressing, but this part of pressing I've seen quite a lot during the season. Here I highlight the 3 midfielders and the 3 forwards, and when the ball gets played back here, check out how far Kovacic has to run out to press. Okay, so when this ball is played back here, Kovacic's going to start his run. When the Arsenal defender receives the ball, look how much space he's got. Kovacic still has to make up 10 to 15 metres to be able to press that ball. For me, he should stop. There's no point in rushing out further, because if that ball gets past you, which is probable it will, now you have to run all the way back. So you've just run 20-25 metres, now you're going to have to run 20-25 metres back. It's a 50 metre sprint, which didn't need to be done. Okay, in the same play, now the game is stretched because they've been trying to press up front. Here, Bellerin's going to try and make this pass down the line. Okay, so Lacazette, I'm just going to highlight here. Aubameyang at the top of the screen. He's going to make this pass in behind. And look at the positioning which Aubameyang has over the Chelsea defender. He's in front of him, so if that ball gets in behind, then he should be able to make a ball across the box and create an opportunity to score. Okay, so in this position here, now all Lacazette needs to do is put the ball across the 6-yard box, and it should be an easy tap in for Aubameyang. Unbelievably low, and quite surprisingly, Aubameyang gets in front of him but somehow puts it wide. Should have been 1-0 in the first 4 minutes.